Good day and welcome to another Monday segment of A Week at the Plot. Or maybe I should say the original A Week at the Plot, because I noticed there are another few YouTubers who are doing quite similar to what I'm doing now, which is great. You know, the more information that can get to people, the better. But yes, welcome to a Monday segment of the original A Week at the Plot. It's a glorious day out there. It really is. I'm going to just do a shot out of the shed door so that you can see how lovely it is. I'll do that for the YouTube upload rather than the Planet Vegetarian one. But it's glorious. It really is. And you know what? I've got a t-shirt on. I've got my hoodie on, but I'm actually finding it a tad warm just in the shed. Let's take this off. Oh, that's better. That's better. There's some work going on at the pub opposite. So there's that sort of, you know, the grinding where they're you know, cutting metal or they're cutting stone. So that you may hear a bit of that as we go through the through this segment. But you know what, coming down yesterday, surveying the plot, there's so much to do. so much tidying to do, putting things away for the winter, and that's fine. You know, I'm hoping to strim this week as long as the weather is dry enough for me to strim. I sort of don't even think at the moment it's going to be the last strim of the year, because looking at temperatures as we, you know, looking forward at temperatures, it's still remaining quite mild during the daytimes and quite sunny. So of course, especially with grasses and also with shrubs, if we're cutting them back now, if we're strimming the grasses, cutting the grasses and cutting back shrubs, and it's still mild, they'll go, yay, let's grow. You know, so do be wary when you're looking at your shrubs in particular, that you do want to try and prune them when they're going into dormancy or dormant. And certainly we're putting, gosh, there's a funny thing just come in, and we're putting things off on our site communally at the moment, simply because we know that if we go and prune a lot of things, we're just going to have growth as we get into the winter months. And you know what? I've got a really thingy, stingy, dingy thing, and I'm going to get it out of the shed. Don't know what it is, but yeah, it looks like it's from a Marvel comic. Let me pause you, get it out of the shed, and then I can carry on. Oh, it's flying over there now. Oh. And I am back. I don't know what it was. Well, it was an insect, definitely. It was an insect. It was about 1.5 inches long, quite shiny black body, head, thorax, and stingy tail thing. Orange legs, so quite vibrant orange legs, antennae, wings. But as soon as I went to take a photo of it, because I didn't know what it was, and try and get it out, it found a gap in one of our slats of the shed, and it made its own way out. In fact, as I sit here, I'm sitting in front of the door. So I sit here, there's a load of flying insects coming in and going out today. There was just a bumblebee coming in then. What's it, 25th of October? It's because it's so warm out there. It's so warm, you know, it's gloriously warm. Yeah, so where was I up to? I can't even remember where I was up to. But what I did say I was going to show you this week was our Perennial Weed compost bin. In fact, we have two. We have one which is a standard Dalek, and we have one which is actually in a second-hand big home council recycling bin with a lid. One of those that's on wheels. So let me take you out there and show you. In fact, Wayward, it Waywed was asking a couple of questions on last week's A Week at the Plot about, well, a number of questions, but one was about our composting. So let me just do a quick tour of what we have in terms of composting. I will show you inside the main perennial weed bin, but we'll look at other composting in different sections at a different time. But I will show you the setup here. This is one of our main composting bins. It's hexagonal, I think about 900 litres, something like that. And the lid lifts off. So this, you can see there's hinge there. So this lid flips up from that side if you want, and things can go into this bin that way. We then have, these are nettles and comfrey in there that we add to our bins. And then we have another selection of bins over there. Let me just get over there and I can show you. On the right, the one here, that is another general composting bin. So perennial weeds do not go into that bin. It's just general composting, household waste, cuttings, prunings, detritus, that type of thing goes in there. And also shredded cardboard and shredded paper. This one here is our second perennial compost bin. You can see that in there, that's where I put all our bindweed, cinquefoil, couch grass, any perennial weed goes in there. I'll talk about that in a minute because that would normally have a cardboard top. And then this one, which at the moment is just covered in nettles and detritus. So these poppy seeds are being, or poppy stalks are being broken up and added to this compost bin to give aeration, because they will compost down, but they're quite stalky and they've got air, they're hollow, so they'll have air inside. So I break them up and put them into there to add airflow. But in here, we've got, I can pull that forward. You see in there, lots of shredded paper. I'll come and put that back on in a minute. Will that go up? Oh yeah, no, I need to put there. Oh, I'll have to come back and do it. But yeah, shredded paper. We get through a lot of shredded paper, which goes in to our general compost bins. Okay, let's go over to our main perennial compost bin now. I think I'm going to get my gloves for this next bit. This is our main perennial compost bin. You can see it's a big green bin with a lid. Right, let's see if we can open it up. This is mainly perennial weeds from the plot, obviously, and I also put some sort of chunky bits in as aeration. Now this will need a turn, but you can see this is just grass here, but you can see how this is, hopefully you can see, this is composting down. Look at that. Oh, bit of something in there. Look, bit of blue, whatever that is. Oh, I know what that is. But yeah, you can see it's composting down and you can see the worms that are in there. Now, actually, this bin has no holes in the bottom. If I come over here, you can see the other creatures that are helping the composting. All of those wood lice in there. These have just appeared naturally. And again, I mean, it's pretty good. This will be turned, and I will show you what I use to turn it. I'm just going to take this blue out because I don't want that in there. But that is our perennial bin. It doesn't have any holes in the bottom. It doesn't have any cracks. Any moisture that is in here stays in here, and it just composts down. And as I say, I will be turning it with my compost turning tool quite shortly. Sorry, coughing there. What I will do is, you notice that there are some seedlings coming up. Not quite sure what they're from, but they're from something. What I normally do, there's weed root there. What I normally do, and once I've turned this I will do, is cover this completely in cardboard. The cardboard that has gone into here has already rotted down. That was there about 2 months ago. So once I've turned this compost, I will cover the whole of the surface in cardboard and then close the lid and just let it get on with itself. And any bits of additional perennial weed I take out will just then go on top of the cardboard. Right, let's look at our HotBin and our Pallet Compost bin. This is our HotBin. The compost you take out of here, you take this strap off and this front off, and you can take the compost out. It's not very hot at the moment. The reason being, I noticed when I got here that this was over like that, and therefore this wasn't sealed shut properly, so heat was able to escape. So I must make sure that I do shut this properly. I normally do, but this time I hadn't. So I'm most probably, go away wood lice, most probably going to have to start this HotBin process off again. But actually with some chicken manure pellets and some grass cuttings, that will be absolutely fine. And then next to it, you can see how that does seal when it's closed properly. Next to it is our Pallet Compost bin, and I will be emptying this one quite soon. I just keep things on top here, but this again is this has got torn cardboard in it. It's a big plastic trough with a lid with cardboard in it. The bin down there has got wood chippings, dry wood chippings in it, which go into the HotBin composter to give it air, just like we were talking about earlier with the poppy stalks. And this just needs, I've put, as you can see, I've put things here. This is actually over the last month or so. When I put something on top, I've just put it here. So it's a bit of a mess. But in here, we do have, I'm sure, decent compost. And actually, I'd like to try and do that job before we get into the depths of winter, simply because rats do like heat over winter. So this is going to be warmer than the outside temperature. So I want to sort of discourage rats from being in our compost heaps. Right, this one's got a door. It's been pushed open. I don't know why that's open actually. It usually that latch usually comes on here, up here. I'm going to have a look at that. Clearly I've done something in the last month or so and not realised what I've done. Right, I'm going to leave it there for the moment and get back into the shed. There we are. A quick tour of the types of composting that we do on site. Some of course takes much longer than others. The Perennial Weed bin, I think that's supposed to have been around for about a year now. And the other one by the hexagonal bin for maybe about 6 months. And yeah, I mean, the good thing is, you know, you can drown your perennial weeds and get nutrients off them. And then after 2 or 3 weeks when they're dead, you can take them out and put them onto your compost heap. Or you can do what I have been doing, which is putting them into a perennial weed compost bin. And as you can see, it works quite well. I was going to show you my turny thing for the compost. It's got a in fact, let me get it. Right, on one end is this corkscrew type thing, and then on the other end is this. If I do that, you can see, and you put this end into the compost, then you hold this end here and you turn this handle, and that way you can turn it into the compost, and then this corkscrew bit goes into the compost, and then using a bit of heft, you heft it up, and that lifts the compost from the bottom to the top. And that's how I turn our compost bins. I think this one is actually quite difficult to find now. I mentioned it, excuse me, I mentioned it in another A Week at the Plot quite a few, maybe even a year ago, much earlier this year for sure. And people said to me, oh, where did you get that? And I actually got it on a ubiquitous site, and I found it really easy to get. I knew exactly what I wanted. I went on, I found it. Now I find it really difficult to find these. You can find ones that have got, you push them in rather than turn them in, and then they've got sort of levers that when you pull them out, they do that, and therefore they lift up the compost that way, if I'm making sense. So you push them in and they go sort of like that, and then when you pull them up, it lifts the compost up. They're about 15 to 35 quid. This one I got was 10 quid. I thought it was 15. I actually got it 10 quid. But as I say, I don't know where to easily get them now. If you do, please do let us know. If you put a website in the comments below, it will flag it to us that you've put a website in. And if it's a website that does actually show these, then we'll just approve that so that it can be shown. But yeah, I hope that answers Waywed's question about the types of composting that we do on site. I'll go more into composting at a later date, and of course do have a look at Vivi's composting as well. And Charles Dowding has got loads of videos on composting. And there is actually, if you're a member of Social Farms and Gardens, we're setting up a community composting network. So I will give you details of that when it's up and running. And of course, the National Allotment Society also has a composting Facebook group as well. So, you know, do have a look at the different types of composting. There we are. I'm going to stop rambling because this is mostly already about 20 minutes. And I will see you for another segment later in the week. See you soon. Bye. Good day. It's quite a breezy Wednesday afternoon, and I've decided I'm going to tackle this bed in the next hour or so. It's where we have the peppers and also some beans, and it's in pretty good nick, though there is some cinquefoil here and a little bit there. Basically, it just needs a really good weed. I'm going to try and leave that in, which I can't remember exactly what it is now. I thought it was a thyme, but I think it's a marjoram, I think. Anyway, I'll look that up. But yeah, in this breezy weather, I'm just going to crack on with this bed. This is the leader coming from that main one. most of that one out, including that root. That's that job done. I've come this side because I was getting quite a lot of sun glare from the other side, so yeah, I have decided to cut back that what I think is now marjoram, because really there's a lot of couch grass in there, so I want to get that out, so best cut it back. I've just put it here for the moment, but what I'm going to do is stand it on its end in a bucket, and any insects that are in those heads can just remain in there for however long they want to. Another thing I'm thinking about is this Spanish lavender. It's getting too big. Anything sort of in this area I want to be quite small, as you can see, and it's getting quite big. So I'm thinking, or maybe put it in the middle there, I'm thinking of taking it out, but I'm going to think about it first. As this bed didn't take me too long, I've decided, whoa, windy, to crack on with this bed. And as I began cracking on with this bed, I noticed I'd let some cinquefoil really go. So cinquefoil in here, which I knew about, but look at this one. Look, can you see it going back there? We come along here, we come along here, we come along here, we come along here. Look at that. So that is a 2.4 meter piece of cinquefoil. Honestly, what a nightmare. Not going to be a nightmare for much longer as it's coming out. So this bed has now had a good weed. The celery will stay in, and that lettuce over there we're using. These at the end, the lavender, that needs good tidy up, as does that one over there. And this time they're not spreading as much as the Spanish lavender, so I'll most probably leave them in. But I was pleased to get this bed done, and I have to say the mood took me. So I then went on to this bed and have largely weeded this bed, apart from the sunflower there. And then I went on to this bed and gave that a little weed. There's a few raspberries there. And then I noticed that the saffron was coming up, so I gave that a weed. And then I moved on to the potato bed. That's to go in the perennial compost bin, perennial weed compost bin. So I got the last of the potatoes out of here, which is a job well done. These were the earlies, if you remember, and we've still got late potatoes in here, or main crop potatoes in fact. And gosh, that must have been some type of different kale. I've not noticed that. Has that crossed with Cavallo Nero? Because I thought it was Portuguese cabbage. But this, well, this one here you can see is very Portuguese cabbage, where this one is like Portuguese cabbage but with Cavallo Nero type leaves. Interesting. Anyway, what I was going to show you, we're going to go back over. Something's making a noise on my tripod. Sorry if it's banging. In fact, I'm going to stop here, pick up this and go back to the shed. These are the Colleen potatoes I've taken out. As you can see, they're a very decent size, and half a bucket there. Well, there we are. I ended up doing more than I had planned to do. I admit that on the bed where the celery and the lettuce is, and also where the sunflower still is, there's more that needs to be done there. But you know what? I've made a start, and that's good enough for me today. And the other bed, which had the peppers and the beans in, and has got that Spanish lavender in, that cotton lavender, yeah, I that's now been forked over. Really pleased with that, and I need to think about that cotton lavender. I adore it, but I don't want it taking over the bed. And that's something else that I was thinking about whilst I was going around weeding. I was seeing these lovely, as you know, we've got self-seeded pansies here, and they're beautiful. But you know what? I need to be a bit ruthless. We've also got some self-seeded California poppy. I need to be a bit ruthless. Where we want to grow veg, I must try and grow veg. And I do mean must. Let nature take its course in certain areas, but where we're going to be producing food, Paul, try and be a bit more strict. Right, I'm going to leave it there. It's getting quite dark, as you can see. And yeah, I'll see you very soon for another segment of A Week at the Plot. I'm going to go have a shave now and a shower. Shave in a shower, yeah. It goes all itchy. I hate that. I hate it. I'm off. Bye. Good day. It's Friday afternoon, mid-afternoon, and it's been one of those mixed bags of days weather-wise today. We've had quite a lot of sunshine, but an awful lot of grey sky and heavy showers. And in fact, as I was coming down here, I caught the beginning of a heavy shower. Fortunately, I got into the shed, and yeah, I missed the worst of it, but just 2 minutes in the shed, the shower had finished, and it's now sort of grey skies out there. But yeah, it's that time of year, you know, it's the usual type of weather in the UK for this time of year. I think a little bit milder than usual, but certainly in terms of sunshine and rain, it's pretty typical. I wanted to come down because there's a job that I want to get done today, and that is the putting out of the parsley and the coriander plugs that we've got on the bench. They just need to go in, basically. They are, I think, going to go in between the lettuce in the long bed by the polytunnel, in front of the polytunnel. And if I have time, I'll also see if I can get the chard into the bed in front of me here, where the celery and the lettuce that is going to bolt is. I don't know. I mean, if it starts raining heavily, then I'll pack up. But hopefully I'll be able to get the job done with at least the parsley and the coriander. Fingers crossed. So yeah, there's definitely enough room to put some between the lettuce. What I won't do is I won't put them between here. I'll put them between here and between here. So I'll put one there and one there and one there. Right, I'm just going to get on and do that. You saw me put these lettuce in the other day, so all I'm doing is going to place them out, dig a hole and pop them in. So we'll have a look when I've done that. So here, here, here and here is parsley between the lettuce, and then I think I've got 5 coriander in between those lettuce down there. And here I've got 4 modules of coriander left, which I think are going to go into the polytunnel. It's raining again. I think these are going to get plenty of water over the coming day for me to not have to water them in, but I will see what the situation is before I leave and just sort of garner how much water they have had, because they do want to be, they want a good bit of water to bed them in. And as you will remember, this bed is actually going to be fleeced, so these will be having protection from some fleece. The weather at the moment is still pretty mild. When the wind comes in, it does get pretty chilly, but still at the moment the lettuce here and the coriander and parsley should be fine. The only thing I'm really worried about with the coriander and the parsley is slugs, but they haven't attacked the lettuce yet. But I know they seem to particularly like parsley and coriander for some reason. Right, I'm going to put these into the poly. These are our chard. I'm going to keep these here for plot neighbour and put these in. As you can see, hopefully they've got pretty good roots on them. So they're going in by the celery. Job's done. So that's parsley and coriander in the lettuce bed by the polytunnel, 4 plugs of coriander in the polytunnel, and then the chard, the rainbow chard, has gone in the celery and the lettuce bed just in front here by the shed. And as you will have seen, I did decide to water. As I look out now, as I look out of the shed, the sky is absolutely beautifully blue. There's lots of cloud, lots of white cloud as well, and that's moving quite swiftly, but there's some really high level cloud that's moving quite slowly. And looking at the weather forecast, yes, we're going to get more showers, but are they going to be heavy enough to get down to the roots of those plugs that I've just put in and help them settle down? I don't know. So I've given everything that I've planted out today a really good water as well. So that is super. Pleased with that. I'm going to harvest some of the lettuce. We're going to have that this evening. So that's the lettuce with the celery here, not the one by the polytunnel. And as I say, the one by the polytunnel, I do need to look at that for how I'm going to cover it. I do have some spare hoops and I do have fleece, so I might just Heath Robinson that up to go over there. We shall see. Oh, and one other thing. This is one of the peppers that I took out a couple of weeks ago, and it is going home with me. I will see if I can get it in the house and just cleaned up a little bit before Richard notices that I brought something home to stay over winter upstairs. I'm off. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. As you saw, I decided to take out that cotton lavender and also the thyme. I've potted them up individually into pots, and they'll be fine over the winter in those pots, and that will give me time to decide exactly where I want them to go for growing on next year. I might actually take some of the cotton lavender as cuttings. We'll see how time goes. But then what I've done is I've given this a little tickle over and a rake and positioned bamboo canes down because I didn't want to get my twine out. And I'm doing 2 double rows of Vivi's broad beans. Thank you very much for the broad bean seeds, Vivi. So I positioned the canes, popped the broad beans down, and now I'm just going to make a hole next to each of those broad beans and let the broad bean drop into the hole and then cover it up. I've given it a water because even though the ground is damp, I just wanted to give everything a water, though I think we're due to have lots of rain tomorrow. That's the next bed. I'm just going to tickle that over now. That's going to have our garlic in it next week, fingers crossed. And then I will start tidying up these beds. Right, I will leave it there today. I have actually tried to do one of those YouTube shorts in the sowing of these broad beans. So if that has worked, I'll pop a link to it here. Okay, bye. Good day. Though it's pretty grim out there at the moment, as you can most probably see. It's 27 minutes past 9 on Sunday morning, and this weather had been forecast. We had a weather warning, I think it popped up on Friday, and there was a weather warning that it was going to rain for like 15 hours. Well, it certainly hasn't done that yet, and looking at the weather forecast, it looks as though by midday the rain will have passed over us, but it's going to leave that ground really quite sodden. And maybe there wasn't a necessity to water in the broad beans yesterday, but hey ho, you know, that extra bit of water on top of this is not going to make any difference whatsoever. So it's going to be a desk day and a home day today. Richard's downstairs making a seeded loaf in the bread maker. So he's doing that. I'm up here editing. I've edited together that short. Apparently I did it the wrong way. I did it horizontally. It should have been vertically, but hey ho, we'll see if it works. And yeah, I'm going to edit a week at the plot now and edit this in. I am going to look through my seed box in the fridge this afternoon. Had a quick look at it yesterday, made sure that everything was in it rather than in different places. Obviously our own save seeds like our peas and our mange tout and our beans, they're in jars in the fridge, so they're not going into the box that I have, the Tupperware box that I have. But yeah, I'm going to be going through that later on, and that is going to be my bit of gardening for today, if you like. I think there's a few movies on that I'll watch whilst doing a few other things, and yeah, I'm just going to take it easy and see what happens with the weather. I might get to the plot later, but that will just be for harvesting because I think we're going to have a stew this evening. So I want to pick the last of the carrots and some turnips and potentially some beetroot for that. And as a side, obviously, we'll have some Portuguese cabbage or some dazzling blue kale. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you next week for more segments of A Week at the Plot. Bye.